really, before I get into the game, just, really hope that their player, their corner that was injured, everything's okay with him. Talked to Sam immediately after, and he was moving, so really kind of more important than all of this. So prayers out to him. I thought that, our guys finished the game really well. Wasn't perfect, wasn't pretty a lot of times defensively. But, on the 72nd defensive play, we made the first turnover. And great play by TJ to get it out. And at the end of the day, just kept kind of saying on the headset, bend, don't break, bend, don't break. We got to make a turnover, and our guys did. So huge there. And then, you got to make a first down there too. So you got to, in the game, I don't care where you play, especially the SEC, man, you got to not give it back to them. And I said, we get a lot of talk about that roster last year and what was here, but we had a chance in 2 games, to end games ahead at the end of the game, and didn't make a first down to end them. So they did it today, and obviously Trinidad played extremely well. Austin came in, made a huge touchdown throw. Unfortunately, I think, hurt himself on that drive, but really proud of Austin for going in there and making a big play in that situation. So Trinidad's day didn't surprise me. Anytime we've gone in the stadium in scrimmages or in his play the last 2 games, he's done a fabulous job. I just think he has the it, and that's why we brought him here. And I think as you look around the country, look a year ago, when there's an SEC team and they lose their quarterback and they're a completely different team without him. And then when they get him back, they totally change. So, just set an off season, just like any room, D-line, DBs, hey, let's improve the room overall, and spend a lot of time and energy recruiting Trinidad, for situations like this. And Kyle just said he played in front of more fans today than he did in his entire career combined. So says a lot about him that he didn't rattle, and he took care of the ball. A lot of times quarterbacks don't care their age. When they finally start, number one issue is taking care of the ball, and he did a great job of that, and we needed all that today, obviously, with the way that we played defensively.
Questions? We'll start over here at the top. What kind of led to that resurgence defensively in the second half?
Pete does a great job at halftime. I actually said it in the halftime interview on TV. Overtime here, we've done a great job, just like last week, of halftime adjustments on things and defensively. And so I really had a lot of confidence that he'd figure something out, because it wasn't working in the first half. And we obviously couldn't figure out the quarterback and him pulling and stopping them. So again, Coach Petrino does a great job too. They get paid a lot of money to coach over there as well, and it's always done a good job of scheming people. And so, really proud of how we made adjustments and limited them in the second half. Really to the 1 touchdown.
Obviously Austin came in for that 1 drive, but what made Trinidad the right call tonight, even with Austin available, and when did you make that call?
Obviously Austin was available to play, just like the report, and he played. Just a lot went into it, just taking a lot of information in and making that decision, really late. And I just thought schematically there was a lot of things against them that we should run that were quarterback runs or where he had reads, and Austin, that was not going to, I didn't really want to play Austin in that situation and get him, hurt worse running him. And then he came in and we had to check to a run on a play, and he made the big first down. And I think re-aggravated it. So Austin's going to be a great player, and he has done great things for us. And so I just had to make a decision today and to go with Trinidad. I guess luckily it worked. it's easier to answer the question when it worked.
You said just a little bit ago Trinidad has it. Would you just mind explaining that a little more, and what is having it comprised of?
Yeah, that's kind of $1 million question, what it's comprised of. That's why it's called it. It's just a factor. And we saw it obviously on his game tape, and then we saw it in scrimmages when we went in the stadium. And even as he was learning the offense and didn't know everything, he just found a way to, kind of have some magic about him. And so he did it today. And the most thing I'm proud of is the way he took care of the ball in the game.
Big question up top. Lane, Trinidad's not really like an unconventional transfer. He comes from D2 now to here to play, like you said, in front of more fans than he's ever played in front of. What can you say about maybe his journey to tonight's win?
Yeah, I think first off on that note, credit to our personnel department and Billy Glasscock, our GM. You know how we structure that, because it's hard to find people in D2, So we scour a lot of players, a lot of different things, and just like the NFL does the draft. That's how we do it here. And, Deuce is a really good example. Wake Forest, he didn't have really big numbers there, and found him, and now he's done some great things for us. So it's just a lot of research that goes into it in off season. It's how college football has changed, in my opinion, and should be run more like an NFL department. And that's why we put resources, which Keith's allowed us to, in our personnel department like an NFL system. So some people might not think that's a big deal, or why are you spending money in your personnel department? We have NFL people in there. Well, you liked it when guys were making those plays at the end of the game. So good job for those guys.
Back down here.
Lane, I'm sure there'll be a lot of comparisons about the play today of Chambliss. Anybody that you've coached that maybe you compare him to, like a Blake Sims, that maybe plays into your offense?
Yeah, they just said that on the radio. There's a lot, same jersey number. There's a lot of Blake Sims in there. The quick feet, similar body structure and size, and the ability to release the ball really well for not a really tall guy and find windows. And so, yeah, there's a lot of Blake Sims in there. I'm not saying he's Russell Wilson, don't get me wrong, but there's some similarities in that, kind of in the it factor and how he moves and holds himself, that I've kind of said that since he's gotten here.
Lane, you mentioned how in back-to-back weeks you've had chances to put the game away, but ultimately didn't until the very end. How important is it for a team filled with newcomers to experience wins like these, both on the road and at home?
Yeah, it's really big for them to go through this adversity if you win. It's not good when you lose. I'm sure Sam would tell you that right now. So, like you said, they made the plays in that, and there's still things to make. We have the series before that, a chance to maybe put them away. We throw it slightly behind Caden Lee, and he drops the ball for the first time in a year. And so there's still a lot of things to work on. And obviously, we got to tackle quarterbacks like that a lot better on defense.
Lane, the first game against Georgia State, obviously the issue was just for the offensive line and they're being together for the first time in a while. What's really been the difference for them the last two games? It looks like they figured something out up there.
I think just playing together, made a change at left guard, and that's gone well. And I think, too, both quarterbacks get out of trouble, too, so that helps on some of the passes. But they've really improved, I think. And we needed it today because it was just one of those days, and those games are going to happen. They just happen, and we'll have a low-scoring one, too, this year, too. It just happens that way. That's a fine in our team meeting, by the way. So you owe like $1,000. You go to the collective.
Questions?
Lane, a little off topic, and I was going to wait and ask it at the end after some other important questions. But last night, Knox kind of got a lot of attention with some of his play. Just not that, but for you to be able to kind of see him and him playing as close this year to you, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, not kind of use this platform as perfect personal, but that was really cool. Just walking into the game, and there's I don't know, I just maybe never pictured my life the way that it is right now, and in the small town and the coach and the security guy, good luck tomorrow, coach. And then the referee that, the umpire actually comes over in the game, good luck tomorrow, coach. And I was just kind of like sitting there with Dr. Luber on the sideline. And then, my favorite part was JoJo Ginn, whose dad works here. JoJo's like my favorite kid in town. He went in and scored at the end. And it just really was, it was a really cool moment, to have Knox here and just to, kind of be the coach in the small town. It was really, really cool that maybe I didn't picture or wouldn't have appreciated a long time ago the way that I do now.
Not sure how much of a chance you got to talk to him, but how did Austin maybe handle tonight?
Yeah, Austin's a competitor. Austin's a great player, 19 years old, and, it's unbelievable what he's already done in his career, academically, baseball and football. So he's very competitive and wanted to go in there and wanted to play and fought through, an injury all week, to get ready to play. And luckily he did because it was a huge touchdown that he made for us.
Coach, through 3 weeks, your team's 2-0 in SEC play now. A lot of teams start with non-conference and then kind of load the SEC schedule at the end. What kind of toughness have you seen out of these last 2 games out of your team?
Yeah, I mean, when you win, you love the schedule that way, so it worked. And when you lose, you don't like it, because you kind of want some build-up to games and maybe be able to play more players because the games aren't so close. But luckily, we've gotten to 2-0 in the conference, so it's been good. But we have a really good Tulane team coming in. It's like another conference game, so we're going to have to really have a really good week of preparation. These guys do a really good job of coaching and have really good players. All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good night.